for coming down for my little talk today. Thank you, PUMBA, for inviting me. I always love interacting with students. I won't say young because I am young myself. And I was also, part of my education. I used to love attending other people's talk, to listen to their stories, to listen to what kind of business they are doing. And I used to gather my inspiration from a lot of stalwarts in the industry. And I hope I can give whatever little bit of learnings that I have from my life to you to use somewhere in the future. So, before I start my story, I'll be taking you through a little bit of journey of my life, of what all I've been doing. I'll talk about TouchMagix, and in the end, I'm going to talk about the important dots that you should be finding and connecting before starting your own business. So, can I know how many of you are actually planning to start your own business at some point in time in life? I'm not saying immediately after MBA. Okay, that's a very good number. And how many have tried to start any form of small business till date? Okay, only a couple of them there. Okay. So just to give you a little bit about my background. Okay, sorry, one more question. How many are from a technical background? Okay, that's a lot. And how many of you want to start a technology-based company? That's a very few numbers. So my journey actually started at the age of 4. I learned a Japanese art called origami, which is the art of paper folding, where you take a square paper and you fold it without sticking, gluing, you create models. And that really fascinated me. I learned through a lot of books, some teachers, and by the age of 7, I had crafted like more than 1,000 origami models, right from dinosaurs to small objects. And I had a little bit of inclination towards learning art. So I learned painting, I learned all sort of different arts like music, and computer science is actually an art in a way, and programming was sort of poetry for me. So I started learning programming when I was in 4th standard, just out of a hobby, and started soldering some circuits, making some small electronic circuits, and this was like my parallel education, that I was doing along with my schooling. And at the age of 14, I completed all the Microsoft certifications, MCSD, MCSE, MCDBA, and that time, I got all these handwritten compliments from Bill Gates and Azim Premji. But that was just the beginning of my life, of what I really wanted to do. And I was really fortunate to get some good mentors during my life as I was going through my journey. So one of the mentors that I was fortunate to have was Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar. A few of you might be knowing him. He was an ex-scientific advisor to the President of India, and now he's heading NCL out here. So he told me one thing. He said that you're a smart person, and today, the image of the country that has been created is that we are all inclined towards services or towards creating businesses around safer things. Because all of us have a fear to failure, or that is something that is part of our culture, as part of our Indian culture, that, oh, see, this guy, he took money and then he blew it up, or he failed in business. And he said that you have that ability to actually create a product company in India and create that culture of product companies in India, and you have to do that in India, and that is your goal in life. And I took that up as a goal in life. I started studying things in that direction. I got some consulting contracts, where I started consulting to some product companies. So I essentially started off my career as a hacker, being in computers and internet, in that early internet age where you were on the shell terminals and the first versions of the browsers that were coming in. I started learning hacking, and I started consulting to a lot of these big corporates to verify their network security, and that was my first business as such. So I started doing some consulting work, and the only thing I had to do is that go to their office, plug in my computer, and show them all their passwords. And the job was done. They gave me the job to audit their network further on and secure it. So I started doing that as a hobby, which in turn turned into a profession. And after my 10th standard, during the holidays, I started off a small company to just do some R&D. So the idea behind this company was called Techno Karma Labs. the idea behind this company was that we work on some research-based products. We validate these products if they actually are worthwhile to get out in the market or even worthwhile at all, and like either scrap them, patent them, or like take them further. And we created certain small products like which were pretty cutting edge. Like back in 2002, we created these wireless mesh routers which reduced the campus Wi-Fi deployment cost to almost 1/10. Then we created some dual band like radios for these wireless mesh routers. And then we did some work in high performance computing, like binary level process migration. So this was like beginning of the whole cloud computing era, and we did some initial work in that space. But after my 12th, I got an opportunity to skip my bachelor's degree and go in for masters at IIIT here in Pune. So I said, might as well take a chance to do that. Like I stopped my company work that time. Like there were about 4-5 people who were working together on building these products. We open sourced all the code out in the market, and like a lot of these online, like all the technical guys must be familiar with this GitHub and SourceForge kind of websites, where you can just contribute the code back to the community. So we had created a lot of standards and work in that time back in 2002 for wireless mesh networks, and we contributed that code back to the community. And like I finished my first masters here in Pune, and I published some IEEE paper on wireless mesh networks. That was my topic of research, and I happened to meet the chairman of Qualcomm. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with Qualcomm, but like 80% of the people in this room are currently using a Qualcomm technology. So they are manufacturers and leaders in the chips that go into your phone, the processors, and all this 3G and CDMA based technology was actually pioneered by them. So like I happened to go to US and work with them almost for a year. I worked in the new technologies division. I learned how to file patents. Like I filed a couple of patents out there during my journey. But this US journey was really an eye-opener. And I'll be sharing a lot of experiences from this whole journey as part of my presentation today. So I started realizing, that the innovation culture out there is very different than the innovation culture out here. And there actually age really didn't matter. Here people wouldn't take you seriously if you were like a young person. Like wider the hair, wiser you are. But there, that wasn't the case. Like everybody used to respect each other for innovation. There was this whole culture of startups or smaller companies really disrupting, creating disruptive products for the bigger markets. And it was a very nice environment to be in and to learn in. So after my Qualcomm journey, I was just I was 19 that time, and I said that might as well take another year or two off to study. So I went back to school. I joined University of California in San Diego for my MS PhD. I completed my master's courses. I was halfway through PhD before which sort of I got over the idea that I ever had to do a PhD. And I returned back to India taking a leave of absence from there, and I started off this company called TouchMagix. So TouchMagix is actually a business for me which blends in art and technology. As a child, I really enjoyed all these arts, and as part of my education and learning, I learned a lot of technology. And this business, was an easy pick for me, like to see how both of these hobbies or passions kind of meet. So essentially at TouchMagix, we create different hardwares and softwares which help in people creating technology experiences. So whenever a brand wants to run some campaign, like instead of putting a regular boarding, if you put an interactive display, it has a higher impact, or more number of eyeballs are captured, or there's a better brand recall. Or let's say you're going to a museum and you interact with a certain display, the chances that you would actually learn from it or remember it is much higher. And in the last 5 years, we have seen the whole evolution of touch and gesture coming into our consumer devices. And when I started this company, it just wasn't there. So it was a very, very new space to begin with. So we started off with an approach, like how many of you have seen the movie Minority Report or Avatar? Okay, Avatar, Iron Man. So these, I used to watch a lot of movies during my college days, almost like a movie a day, and I really used to enjoy watching sci-fi movies.